Hi there. Today we'll be showing you how to go from Touchdesigner to Foveate. Let's get started. Alright, so here we have our Touchdesigner setup. We're creating some generative visuals here. And what this is going to do is that it's going to create a grid of hexagons that we want to be mapped, or want to have mapped onto, let's say, a projection setup or a multiple screen LED wall. So here we've created the visuals. We have our final out here, so this will be what's cut across multiple screens. So let's pretend it's one long video that's going to be across multiple screens here. I've gotten this Previz set up. Here's this basic room with the content being mapped across these three walls. This is also a scene that I've modeled in Blender and then brought into Touchdesigner via FBX. Now we want to make this shareable in Foveate so that we can communicate this installation to somebody somewhere else. So what we're going to do here now is take this movie file out, and we're going to use the HEVC NVIDIA GPU codec because this will produce a smaller video file, and then we're going to use the MP4 extension. Foveate accepts a couple different video formats: MP4, WebM, OGV. MP4 is the most easily accessible and used pretty much everywhere, so we'll use that one for this. And the NVIDIA codec does compress super well. So I've set up this chop system here to hit the record button, and what this is going to do is going to start recording this top out here, and then give me a little number and the correct file extension. This might default to .mov for the file type, but you can just type in .mp4 and it'll work fine. So we've done that. We're done. Now it's called movieout.mp4. There's our movie out. And we will go to Foveate, create a new scene. We'll call this Touchdesigner installation. Then what I can do is I can export this model to Blender. I can either use an FBX, the same one I used before, or I can use a GLB if I want it to be smaller. I'm going to go ahead and use a GLB. The important thing to note here with Foveate is that any material called video is what will be recognized by Foveate to have a video mapped onto it. So if you have a texture here, this is the best setup, because then you can see how the UVs are going to line up and make sure your screen content will appear correctly, and call a video here. So what we're going to do now is drag and drop both those files in. So I'll do the movie first, and I'm going to go jump back out here, get my room, and drag and drop that in, and it will appear. So here we have our room, we have our video. Both of these are movable inside of Foveate. So with this video, we can just click on it here in the outliner. We'll switch to the rotate tool just so we can see it a little bit better. You also get a preview inside of the asset window here for what the video looks like. You can press play, and then this video will display inside of the scene. But because we've called that material video material, what we can do now is inside of the asset panel here on the left, you can click the asset button here to open it. Under video mesh, choose touch room. Now this will map that video onto your 3D asset here. So we'll create a moment. We'll call this moment number 1. And then press play, and this video asset plays right on top of the 3D model here. Turn off this grid. We can change the background, let's say, to something that fits this mood a little bit better, like in a factory, underground rave kind of scene. Can blur this out a bit. It's not as distracting. Alright, we have our first interactive video installation previz coming along here. Now, say we want to show a client multiple options for an installation and different types of screen contents. Now we can go back to Touch and let's tweak, let's say, these colors here. And we can change some of these colors. We want an example, let's say, for the client that's a bit warmer. There we go. So now we have a different color ramp here. Now let's go ahead and record a different movie. Okay, that seems pretty good. So now we can go back to Foveate, go find our second movie file, and drag and drop that in. And we can assign this now to the same model. Now if you click Z, or the left button here, that's your moments. So moments are like the different camera views in space. Go in here, and we can make another moment. Call this moment 2. And what we want to do now is turn off autoplay for our videos. Now what this will allow us to do is to queue a certain video to play per moment. So we're going to have the original file play during moment 1. We're going to have the new movie file play during moment 2. So if we press play, we cycle through. We'll see now this second video option is playing, and that switches back to the first movie for moment 1. So here we can invite members from our team. We're going to email, invite, let's say, a project manager, a client, collaborator, what have you, and they'll be a part of this scene. We can make this public, so anybody can see this, can be embedded on a website, and if somebody joins your session, then their little PFP will pop up here, and you can present to them in real time. And that way you can make sure that you're both looking at the same thing at the same time. You can also adjust some of the visuals here, like the brightness of the scene, some post-processing, things like bloom or depth of field, chromatic aberration, all things that can make these feel more realistic. And ultimately communicate your creative ideas better. If you need to add other assets from other apps, that's totally possible too. Let's say we want to give this installation more of a sense of scale. We'll go here and let's take a scale figure. There you have it.